9 o'clock. Everyone, good morning.
Morning.
Trusting that everyone's doing good. It's great to see everyone. We're thankful for another day. As we all know, this is the second meeting of the month. It is 9 o'clock, so I am calling the meeting to order. At this time, I would like to call on Councilman Bailey to lead us with invocation and also lead us with the pledge. And I'm trusting everyone can see the flag behind.
Yes.
Councilman Bailey.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
It's wonderful to live in a country where we can agree at sometimes, we can disagree at sometimes, but we can all do it with humility and all do it with humbleness and do it lawfully and all get our same messages across without using violence and ignorance and hatred and bigotry with each other. So please, let's take this time to go to the Lord in prayer. Dear most gracious, loving Heavenly Father, we thank you for giving us such a country that we can live in. Thank you for giving us such people around us that support us, bring us up, lift us up, help us in our times of need and our times of sorrow and our times of stress and strain. We have a lot going on in our country, a lot going on in our state, a lot going on in our city. Same things aren't going on all over, but our whole country is involved in pandemics and unrestfulness. Lord, use your time to show us what the Bible is full of, the New Testament is full of, which is Jesus' love. Show us how Jesus loved us first to set the example for how we should love each other. Lord, grant us the peace and the security that comes with that. Let us all know that we can lift up each other, count on each other, and lean on each other in these times. We have a city, Lord, that's full of leaders, whether they're elected, whether they're appointed, or whether they're hired. We have department heads with employees up under them. All of them work together, Lord, as a continuous unit, doing the things that our city needs doing. Lord, we have good citizens in this city. We have people who care. We have people who love to call Phenix City home. I love to call Phenix City home as everyone else on this council does, Lord. Give us the vision and the wisdom to understand the needs around us. Give us the ability to act on those needs. Help each one of us to look outside of our own needs to the needs of others. Lord, as you guide us and lead us and direct us in our days to come, especially today during this meeting, do it with compassion and do it with love and show each one of us the right way. And I ask all these things in the most gracious name in the whole world and all heaven and earth, Jesus Christ, my risen Savior. Amen.
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 Thank you.
If we could all face the flag, salute and pledge. Pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance.
to the flag,
Flag.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
That's right.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Bailey. We certainly appreciate that. To the rest of the council, we certainly thank you all also. We all know that as Councilman Gordon will not be here today. He did say it was okay if I said that he had some prior appointments. Originally, this meeting was scheduled to be at 6 o'clock. The one that we move around in each district, this one would have been held in District 2. But because of the virus and some of the numbers that are increasing, we made the decision that we would still continue to have this meeting by Zoom. And Councilman Gordon had already committed his calendar, so we certainly understand that, and we were all in agreement with them. So with that, at this time, I'd like to call upon the city clerk and council. We would like to ask for an approval for the regular scheduled meeting minutes for the June the 1st work session, as well as June the 2nd council meeting. And if it's the pleasure of the council, we would like to take that in one vote. May I have a motion to approve the
Motion to approve.
session in the June the 2nd council meeting? We have a motion from Mr. Day.
Yes.
Second.
And second, Councilwoman Johnson. Okay, call for the vote. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lowe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, council, proceeding on the city council. At this time, are there any unfinished business? Okay, there's not been any. We will proceed with the resolutions. And on the administrations, under the first one, we have a resolution number 2020-150 to be ratified in reference to a one-time essential worker and hazardous duty compensation for permanent as well as part-time employees. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Whereas the City Council of the City of Phenix City wishes to grant all permanent full-time employees of the City of Phenix City a one-time essential worker and hazardous duty payment as follows. And whereas each employee of the City of Phenix City working February the 22nd, 2020 through May the 15th, 2020 shall be granted 50 cents for each regularly scheduled hour actually worked during this time period in consideration of being an essential employee. And whereas those employees who have maintained ongoing daily interaction with the public shall receive an additional 50 cents for each regularly scheduled hour actually worked during the period of February the 22nd, 2020 through May the 15th, 2020 in consideration of hazardous duty pay. And whereas employees shall be in active status on the date in which payment is scheduled, June the 12th, 2020, in order to qualify for the one-time payment. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama does hereby authorize this one-time compensation be granted to such employees due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Passed, approved, and adopted this 10th day of June, 2020, ratified the 16th day of June, 2020.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Council, we've heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval, please. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, who was that? Mr. Bailey? And this,
Haley and Day.
It don't matter.
okay. Motion, Mr. Bailey. Second,
Yeah.
Mr. Day.
Yes.
Second.
Yeah, that's right.
Comments or discussion, council? All right. At this time, I'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lowe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proceeding on the administration is a resolution in reference to appointing Russell County Probate Judge Alfred M. Hardin, Jr. as an election consultant. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Whereas the City of Phenix City, Alabama will be conducting a municipal election and a Board of Education election on Tuesday, August the 25th, 2020. And whereas the City Clerk of the City of Phenix City, Alabama serves as the elections manager and the absentee election manager. And whereas in accordance with applicable statutes, the City Council wishes to appoint Alfred M. Hardin, Jr., probate judge of Russell County, as the elections consultant. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama as follows. 1, that the city clerk as elections manager and absentee elections manager handles absentee ballots, prepares and publishes the voter registration list, and performs such other duties as required by law in and about the holding of the August 25th, 2020 municipal election and Board of Education election, and if necessary, a runoff election for one or both elections on October the 6th, 2020. 2, that the Honorable Alfred M. Hardin, Jr., probate judge for Russell County, be and is hereby authorized as the elections consultant to oversee the municipal election and the Board of Education election to be held on August the 25th, 2020, and if necessary, the runoff election for one or both elections on October the 6th, 2020. Passed, approved, and adopted the 16th day of June, 2020.
Okay. Council, all of us have heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval, please. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Bailey? And
Yes.
that's second, Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
We have that, Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Council, any comments or discussion? All right. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lowe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, council, we have a resolution in reference to appointing Mark Tower as election custodian. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Whereas Mr. Rusty Robinson was nominated and duly appointed as the election custodian for Russell County, Alabama and the city of Phenix City, Alabama. And whereas Mr. Rusty Robinson resigned as the election custodian for Russell County, Alabama and the city of Phenix City, Alabama. And whereas per resolution number 2018-196 approved on July the 7th, 2018, said election custodian is paid $4,800 per year in 12 equally installments each year of $400 per month, as outlined in the approved contract between the city of Phenix City and Russell County for the use of the county's election equipment and county employees who possess the requisite skill and knowledge to operate the equipment. And whereas Mr. Mark Hightower was nominated and duly appointed as the elections custodian for Russell County, Alabama. And whereas the members of the City Council of Phenix City, Alabama do concur with the appointment of Mark Hightower as election custodian. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama does hereby appoint Mark Hightower as elections custodian for the City of Phenix City, Alabama municipal elections. Passed, approved, and adopted the 16th day of June, 2020.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Lee.
Yes, sir.
Council, we've heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval, please.
Motion to approve.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bailey. Okay. Comments or discussion, council?
Let me just ask, Mayor, I was unclear and I want to make sure it is clarified for our citizens in Phoenix City. And he will only serve in the year or years that we have an election. So 2021, if we don't have an election, will these funds still be applicable to him? Only for election years. Is that correct? Can someone confirm that?
Mrs. Lee?
We actually pay that every month, every year, whether we have an election or not, because you never know if you're going to have a special election, a referendum election. Some things you just never know. We rent is sort of like keeping that equipment on hold for in case we do need that equipment and do need those employees.
Okay. Any other comments, discussion? Thank you, Mrs. Lee. At
Yes,
this time, council, we'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lowe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proceeding on an administration council, we have a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor and city manager to sign documentation and accept an offer from Timothy Ambrose Alexander and Lakeisha N. Alexander to purchase property located at 2401 7th Street in the amount of $9,000. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Whereas the City Council of the City of Phoenix City is committed to the economic growth and development of the city. And whereas the City of Phoenix City has residential property for sale at 2401 7th Street. And whereas the city has received an offer to purchase this property for $9,000 from Timothy Ambrose Alexander and Lakeisha N. Alexander. And whereas the city accepts the offer and agrees to sell the property for the above referenced price of $9,000. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama does hereby accept the offer from Timothy Ambrose Alexander and Lakeisha N. Alexander for the purchase of 2401 7th Street in the amount of $9,000 as outlined above, and does hereby authorize the mayor and city manager to sign all documents necessary to finalize the purchase of said property. Passed, approved, and adopted the 16th day of June, 2020.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir.
Council, we've heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval, please. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion, Mr. Day. May I have a second, council?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Johnson. Any comments or discussion? Okay. If there's not any, call for the vote. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, council on the building department. We have a resolution in reference to rescinding resolution number 2019-304 in reference to awarding the bid for demolitions of structures located at 1304 17th Court. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Whereas the City of Phoenix City awarded a bid for the demolition of structure at 1304 17th Court to Stewart Contracting in the amount of $5,112 and resolution number 2019-304 dated November the 19th, 2019. And whereas Stewart Contracting did not perform their obligations as specified in the bid documents. And whereas the City of Phoenix City wishes to rescind resolution number 2019-304 awarding said bid and will award the demolition to the next responsible bidder. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama hereby rescinds resolution number 2019-304 dated November the 19th, 2019, which awarded a bid for demolition of structure located at 1304 17th Court to Stewart Contracting in the amount of $5,112. Passed, approved, and adopted the 16th day of June, 2020.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Council, we've heard the resolution. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to approve. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Bailey. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Johnson. Okay, any comments or discussion, council? Okay, Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. And also proceeding, council on the building department. We have a resolution in reference to awarding a bid to J&J Land Development Incorporation for the demolition of structures located at 1304 17th Court in an amount not to exceed $6,000. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Whereas the City of Phoenix City did rescind resolution number 2019-304 dated November the 19th, 2019, which awarded a bid for demolition of a structure located at 1304 17th Court to Stewart Contracting in the amount of $5,112. And whereas the City of Phoenix City desires to remove the existing structure located at 1304 17th Court. And whereas J&J Land Development Incorporated submitted a bid in the amount of $6,000 with dumping fees for the demolition and removal of the structure located at 1304 17th Court. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama hereby accepts the bid in the amount of $6,000 with dumping fees from J&J Land Development Incorporated. Passed, approved, and adopted the 16th day of June, 2020.
Okay. Council, we have all heard the resolution. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion for approval, please. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion, Mr. Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bailey.
Yes.
Okay, comments, discussion, council. All right, if there's not any, I'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. And also, council, on the building department, we have 3 resolutions and public notices in reference to setting public hearings dates and fixing demolition costs associated with the following properties located in Phoenix City: 932 13th Avenue, 308 16th Avenue South, and 707 8th Street. Council, at your pleasure, I would ask the clerk to read one master resolution along with the public notices. And after the reading of that, if it's the pleasure, we'll take the motion and the vote all at once. And at that time, is at the pleasure of the council.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Whereas the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama has been informed by the building official of the city that substandard structures at the following locations in Phoenix City were in need of demolition or removal: 932 13th Avenue, 308 16th Avenue South, 707 8th Street. Whereas the City of Phenix City, Alabama has solicited sealed bids as required by Alabama law, and the apparent low bidders meeting the specifications required for the demolition of the substandard structures are as follows. The amount listed below includes dumping fees. 932 13th Avenue, Great Southern Furniture, $4,200. 308 16th Avenue South, J&J Land Development, $4,000. 707 8th Street, J&J Land Development, $3,800. Whereas the city is required by law to give notice by certified or registered mail to the person last assessed for ad valorem taxes before the final fixing of cost, and a copy of the resolution is to be published in the Citizen of East Alabama, a newspaper of local and general publication in Russell County, Alabama. And whereas the building official of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, was authorized to proceed with the demolition and or removal of the substandard structure with the apparent low bidder at the approved bid price. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama as follows. 1, that the city clerk give notice by certified or registered mail to the person last assessed for ad valorem taxes, and a copy of this resolution be published in the Citizen of East Alabama newspaper one time before the final fixing of cost and establishment of a special assessment upon the property as required by law. 2, that the date for fixing of costs before the City Council shall be July the 21st, 2020 at 9 a.m. in the council chambers at City Hall or by platform Zoom. 3, that at such public hearing, any person interested in this property, as well as the person last assessed for ad valorem taxes, should appear and give reason, if any, why the City Council should not establish a special assessment upon the property for the cost of the demolition or removal of the substandard structure, which the owner of the property had either failed or refused to do after it had become a public danger or health hazard. 4, the cost of demolition for each structure as listed above shall be levied against each property as a special assessment and shall constitute a lien against the property to be collected through the Revenue Commissioner's Office for Russell County, Alabama. The council notes that the parcel identification number for each property is listed on the public notice and the individual resolution for each property. 5, that the property owner as shown on the tax records of Russell County, Alabama for each property is as follows. 932 13th Avenue, Cornell Frederick et al., 3423 West 82nd Street, Inglewood, California, 90305. 308 16th Avenue South, Ramona Cabrina, 3201 Leafmore Drive, Columbus, Georgia, 31909. 707 8th Street, Robert R. Francis, 139 Lee Road, 557, Phenix City, Alabama, 36867. And the public notice reads as follows. Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama will meet on July the 21st, 2020 at 9 a.m. in the council chambers, 1111 Broad Street, or by the platform Zoom to consider the fixing of cost incurred by the City of Phenix City for the demolition and or removal of substandard buildings or structures at the following locations. 932 13th Avenue, 308 16th Avenue South, 707 8th Street. The legal description is listed on each public notice. Any person, firm, or corporation having any interest in the above described property should appear before council at the aforementioned time and place if they have any objections as to why the fixing of cost for the removal of the substandard building or structure should not be assessed as a lien against the property taxes upon which the substandard building or structure was located. This is the 16th day of June, 2020.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Council, we have all heard the reading of the master resolution as well as the public notice. At this time, council, we've decided that we will take all three in one vote. So with that being said, I would like to ask for a motion for the approval of these demolitions. May I have a motion to approve, please?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion, Mr. Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Johnson. Any comments or discussion? Okay, if there's not any, at this time, I'd like to ask the clerk to call for the vote. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lowe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proceeding on, council, on the engineering department. We have a resolution in reference to accepting a proposal from ACOM Technical Services Incorporation for supplemental construction engineering and inspection services in an amount not to exceed $43,035. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Whereas the City of Phenix City has entered into a construction agreement with the state of Alabama, acting by and through the Alabama Department of Transportation for the following road resurfacing and traffic striping project. STPPC-UR 13605, 5th Street South, resurfacing and improvements from South Seal Road to MLK Jr. Parkway. Whereas AECOM Technical Services Incorporated has submitted a proposal for supplemental construction engineering and inspection services for the project in an amount not to exceed $43,035. And whereas representatives of the Alabama Department of Transportation have reviewed and approved this request. And whereas the City of Phenix City will receive 80%, $34,428 state funding and pledges 20%, $8,607 contributing match for these services. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama accepts this proposal from AECOM Technical Services Incorporated for supplemental construction engineering and inspection services in an amount not to exceed $43,035. Passed, approved, and adopted the 16th day of June, 2020.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee. Council, we've heard the resolution. At this time, may I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion, Mr. Day. Who was that the second by?
I think I motioned that first.
Okay,
That's
motion,
fine.
Ms. Johnson, Mr. Day.
That's fine.
We have that, Melody?
That's fine.
Motion, Ms. Johnson, and second, Mr. Day.
That's
Yes, ma'am.
fine. Yes, ma'am. That's fine.
Okay. Comments or discussion? All right, Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Proceeding on, council, on the engineering department, we have a resolution in reference to authorizing representatives of the U.S. Post Office Development to perform work on city right-of-way east of the adjacent to development located at 1411 14th Street. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Whereas the City of Phenix City Engineering Department has received a request to perform work on the city right-of-way. And whereas representatives of the U.S. Post Office Development located at 1411 14th Street have requested permission to have the alley east of and adjacent to the development. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama does hereby authorize representatives of the U.S. Post Office Development to perform work on the city right-of-way. Passed, approved, and adopted the 16th day of June, 2020.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Council, we've all heard the resolution at this time. I would like to ask for a motion for approval, please. May I have a motion? May I have a motion?
to approve.
All right, motion, Mr. Bailey. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Johnson. Council, any comments or discussion? Okay, if not any, Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. And council, proceeding on, we have a resolution in reference to declaring 4 black office chairs and 1 tan office chair as surplus to be sold as scrap or disposed of at the city landfill. Mrs. Lee.
Yes. Whereas the Engineering Division of the Engineering Public Works Department of the City of Phenix City has items of personal property which are no longer needed for public or municipal purposes. And whereas Section 114356 of the Code of Alabama 1975 as amended authorizes the municipal governing body to dispose of unneeded personal property. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, that the following described property as listed below is hereby declared surplus to be sold as scrap or disposed of at the city landfill. 4 black office chairs, 1 tan office chair. Passed, approved, and adopted the 16th day of June, 2020.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lee.
Yes, sir.
Council, we've heard the resolution. May I have a motion to approve, please?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bailey.
Yes.
Okay, comments or discussion, council? Okay, Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Next, on the fire department, council, we have a resolution in reference to declaring items as surplus which are no longer serviceable to be sold as scrap or disposed of at the city landfill. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Whereas the City of Phenix City, Alabama Fire and Rescue has items of personal property which are no longer needed for public or municipal purposes. Whereas Section 114356 of the Alabama Code of 1975 authorizes the municipal governing body to dispose of unneeded personal property. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, that the following property as listed on Exhibit A is no longer serviceable and is hereby declared surplus to be sold as scrap or disposed of at the city landfill. Passed, approved, and adopted the 16th day of June, 2020.
Okay, council, we've heard the resolution. May I have a motion for approval, please?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Johnson. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Day. Comments or discussion? Okay, Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Proceeding on, council, on the Parks and Recreation, we have a resolution in reference to approving the purchase of 2 grasshopper lawnmowers for Mo Ridge Manufacturing Incorporation in a total amount not to exceed $15,840. This is a budgeted item, council. With that, Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Whereas under the Alabama bid law for public contracts, municipalities can purchase property under a state bid provided that the state bid provides. And whereas the City of Phenix City desires to purchase the property hereinafter described on said state bid for the Parks and Recreation Department. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, that 2 grasshopper mowers model 32 8G4 EFI with 62-inch deck shall be purchased according to Alabama State Contract Number 17-6221 from Moore Ridge Manufacturing Incorporated. The price for each mower is $7,920 with a total price of $15,840. Passed, approved, and adopted the 16th day of June, 2020.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Council, we've heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for approval, please.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion, Mrs. Johnson. May I have a second? May I have a second, council? Second, Mr. Bailey. Okay, we have the motion by Ms. Johnson and second by Mr. Bailey. Council, are there any comments or discussion? Okay, if there's not any, Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. And also, council, on the Parks and Recreation, we have a resolution in reference to declaring various items as surplus to be sold as scrap or destroyed at the city landfill. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Whereas the City of Phenix City, Alabama Parks and Recreation Department has items of personal property which are no longer needed for public and municipal purposes. And whereas Section 114356 of the Code of Alabama 1975 authorizes the municipal governing body to dispose of personal property no longer needed for the City of Phenix City. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, that the described property as listed on the attached sheets labeled Exhibit A, Exhibit B, and Exhibit C are hereby declared surplus to be sold as scrap or destroyed at the city landfill if no one purchases it or uses it. Passed, approved, and adopted the 16th day of June, 2020.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lee.
Yes, sir.
Council, we've heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
All right, that's a motion by Mr. Day. May I have a second? Second, Mrs. Johnson. Council, any comments or discussion? Okay, not in. Take the call for the vote. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And council, now on the police department. We have a resolution in reference to authorizing the mayor, city manager, and chief of police to sign an agreement with Alabama Power Company for a license plate reader, also known as LPR, camera system for the police department. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Whereas the city of Phenix City desires to enter into an agreement with Alabama Power Company for a license plate reader, LPR, camera system for the police department. And whereas the city council has reviewed said agreement submitted by Alabama Power Company for a monthly service amount of $1,833.33 under a 24-month service agreement. And whereas the city council finds the agreement to be a necessity for the day-to-day operations of city business. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, that the mayor, city manager, and chief of police are hereby authorized and directed to sign such agreement with Alabama Power Company. Passed, approved, and adopted this 16th day of June, 2020.
Okay. Council, we've heard the resolution. I'd like to, at this time, ask for a motion for approval, please. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion, Mr. Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bailey. Comments or discussion?
Mayor,
Yes, Mayor, could we have the chief to elaborate for the citizen of Phoenix City? And I also noticed the area that the camera will be placed at, I believe. Could he elaborate for the citizens of Phoenix City, please?
Chief Smith?
Yes, sir, Mayor and Council, thank you. This
Thank
agreement
you.
will allow us to place additional surveillance cameras throughout the city. We already have a good number of them on city assets or city property. However, in the past, we've just had a hard time putting the surveillance cameras on power poles because they're owned by Alabama Power. So when Alabama Power reached out to me, said that they worked with a vendor that they will allow put the surveillance equipment on their power poles. It seemed like a good idea, and it also will help us because they'll be able to maintain and operate those camera systems. We'll be able to access the data, but we won't have to service or maintain them. So it's going to be a good partnership between Alabama Power and the police department. They have a public safety division in the Alabama Power. And these things, I mean, they do more, of course, than just help us keep situational awareness around the city, but they also help protect Alabama Power assets. You know, power poles and power equipment sometimes is a high theft item. So these cameras will also help protect their own equipment, which is, again, a good trade-off for Phoenix City and for the power company. But they'll give us a good situational awareness, be able to monitor traffic, be able to identify stolen vehicles in our community, all the things that we do already are just a force multiplier, and it's a good, cost-effective way to do it. So that's what this system will do and help us do. In the 24-month agreement, it's only going to be about $44,000 overall, so the project will be about $44,000, and that would be considerably less than what it would cost us to install similar cameras that the city would own and maintain.
Okay, how soon would this project be installed?
We would start this after the day. If it's approved, we would start working with Alabama Power to get it online and should have everything installed by the first of the year.
Chief, let me ask you something. I know areas such as Ridgebrook down in off 165 Nuggets Road, I call it. And then also Mr. Forrest, we're going that far into the county. I know that part of the city down in that area as well.
Yes, sir. And again, our primary focus for these surveillance systems will be helping us able to solve burglaries in residential neighborhoods. When residential neighborhoods suffer burglaries, we'll be able to identify vehicles in and out of that location to give us suspect information and so forth. So we think it's going to be a win-win also for the citizens. So we're strategically placing them throughout the city, but we'll also have mobile units that will be able to move from place to place depending on where hotspots may develop throughout the city for thefts and issues like that.
Now, once we place these cameras on these poles throughout the city in different areas, they'll be stationary there for 2 years or 1 year. Depends on the hotspot, you move them around, or?
Yes, they can be moved around. Typically, we're going to find the hotspots and kind of put them stationary, but they can be moved, and that'll be, again, through cooperation with the power company and ourselves through the duration of this contract.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Chief, I saw somewhere where they're solar powered. Is that correct?
Yes, they're both solar powered and some of them will have connections to power, but for the most part, they're solar powered. Yes, ma'am. They run off a battery and a cell phone communication network like your cell phone, a 4G network.
Right. Okay. This public service related system. Thank you and Assistant Chief for being proactive and making sure that we add extra security to our city. I think citizens will be very pleased to know that we have, like I said, additional security. The integrated infrared LED illumination system, I noticed that is for day and nighttime usage. Based on your observation and demos, how well is it used at night as it is in the daytime?
Oh, it's clear as it can be at night. It's like you said, it's infrared. It's also night vision capable. So again, it's only pointing toward public areas. That's something else to be emphasized. It's only pointing to public areas. This won't be used to be looking on private properties, those kind of things. It's only looking at mainly the entrances to the city, like the bridges and then main thoroughfares, those kind of things. Again, this is only looking at public. So day or night, it's going to be looking at public areas, and we think it's going to be a real asset to us to be, again, given situational awareness, not just with criminals that may be going or coming, but also with just traffic control and helping us monitor how the traffic's flowing if we have accidents or those kind of things.
Okay.
Chief, will it be able to take a driver in a vehicle like her? I noticed you could see the tag very clearly. The person that's driving the vehicle, are you going to be able to identify that individual?
It depends. Sometimes you will be able to, sometimes you won't. It just depends on the angle.
Okay. Seems like it is a positive thing in safety. So, thank you very much, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Can I say something, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Like for everybody to understand, these are not red light cameras now, traffic ticket cameras, so to speak, that the public calls these cameras, located at Stadium Drive and 13th and Broad and down by the activity center. These are cameras being put up, like the chief said, for surveillance, to help secure our city, to help secure our people and the citizens of our city. But this would be almost like having an additional 8, 9, 10, 11 officers out on the street patrolling for only $1,800 a month. You can't hire anybody to do what these cameras will do for that kind of money. So this is really a real good bargain. It's something that should help secure our city, help us, God forbid, if something bad happens, we have a bad situation within our town and somebody tries to enter the town or either exit the town, we should be able to, helpful catch them quicker, put a limit to what they'll do, and this may deter people from doing it. And that's the biggest thing I've always seen about any of these cameras. They're to make you pay attention to what you're doing wrong and correct that and start doing what you should be doing, which is doing it correctly. So even the traffic light cameras do that. They slow down the accidents. So this should slow down some of the illegal activities in some of these areas of our town. And I'm glad to know that they can be moved around. So thank you, Chief, for getting on board doing this.
Chief, I have one more question, please. How effective are these cameras and bad weather, stormy weather? They be able to function properly in bad weather?
Oh, sure. They're very robust, good cameras.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Smith. Appreciate that. Council, at this time, I'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lowe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now at this time, Council, I'd like to call upon our city attorney, Mr. Jimmy Graham. Jimmy?
Morning, Mayor and
Yes.
Council. We have one claim on the agenda today. That's by Anthony B. Adams, Jr. He resides at 65, Lee Road, 2142, Phenix City, Alabama. On Sunday, May 31st, 2020, he was traveling on Evans Road off of 80 West by Wendy's in Phenix City. He hit a pothole. As I mentioned yesterday, we have the memorandum from our department head And this road is not maintained by the city of Phoenix City. It's Evans Road. It is maintained by Russell County. Based on that, my recommendation is to deny the claim.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Graham. Council,
Yes.
we've heard the recommendation from our attorney. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for the approval of his recommendation. May I have a
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion, Mr. Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bailey.
Can we get Jimmy to go a little further with that? I think yesterday he mentioned that he was going to contact Mr. Adams and tell him that he needed to contact the county about this situation. We're not trying to pass the buck, but it's not ours, right?
That's correct.
Okay, just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Brown.
Jimmy.
We've heard the recommendation, council. At this time, I'd like to call for a motion to approve, please. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Day. May I have a second? Second, Mr. Bailey. Okay, Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey,
Yes.
Mayor Lowe.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you all. Okay, council, at this time, is there anything any council member would like to say?
Well, I'd like to say this. I had the opportunity to, before the gate was closed, Mr. Hunt, I had the opportunity, I drove through the Oyster Summer Park. And the area that they're doing the work in, I noticed that they are working on the basketball court down there. This before the gate was closed, probably I think last week or sometime. But anyway, I just want to say that pavilion there looked real nice. They done a fantastic job on that pavilion down there. Look real good. Only thing we got to do is get with the citizens and keep it clean and keep it up. Now, let me ask you something else, Mr. Hunter. Our chief could answer this as well. We had vandalism down there in the past. We're going to be able to place a camera in that area down there?
Yeah, we'll have two additional cameras that'll be mobile. So absolutely, we can move them there and move them to all the parks as we have problems. So yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's what I want to hear. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Mayor, I'd like to take an opportunity just remind our citizens again about the 2020 census and how important that is. There was a report on the news last night. Our area is below the national average. So I'm going to continue to encourage our citizens, if you have not had the opportunity to do so, to please submit your census form. It is so much at stake. The census data is used for various things to include education, housing, and infrastructure. So this is billions of dollars that we cannot afford to reach our community nor our state. So again, please get your census in. I know last month they started the non-response follow-up unit. They began to contact different households who have not responded. So again, it is so important that everyone and in their household complete the census. So please get that in as soon as possible. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Mayor, let me
Yes,
say
sir.
a little something here. It's off the subject of government or anything, but I believe this coming Sunday is Father's Day. Like to wish everybody within the city, on the council, all the department heads and the employees, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. But we need to understand that as fathers, leaders of the community, leaders in our family, we have to stand up and take responsibility. We've got to start doing a better job as fathers, taking care of our own families, our own households, by setting examples. But number one, by being a Christian father, by showing love and compassion, but yet sternness and discipline when it's needed. And there's just too much in this world that a lot of these young people are being raised by grandparents, being raised by mothers. A lot of these fathers aren't stepping up and doing the job that they're supposed to do. But if they read their Bible, they'll understand what their job is and how important their job is. And the way I understand it, it takes two people to raise them. It takes a mother and a father. We have different jobs sometimes within the household, but the responsibility of our young people and our children are the future of this country. We need to stand up now and start, exerting ourselves and setting good examples by being, number one, by being a Christian, then by being honest and faithful to our families and faithful to ourselves and faithful to our children, and show them that we can live with each other with peace and harmony and unity instead of bigotry and hatred and ignorance. And I just wanted to say that to all the fathers out there. Let's all get together and start doing a better job of taking care of our own, starting with our own family. And thank you very much.
Hey, Mayor, I would like to elaborate further. I concur with what Mr. Bailey has stated already. But I'd like to ask Mr. Hunter this question. I know on the 24th of June, Ranford Grocery Store will have the ribbon cutting ceremony. I'd like to ask Mr. Hunter, is the public invited to that grand opening?
Right, I'm quite sure they are. They want them to fill up the gas station. I mean, not just the grocery store. They definitely want the public there. Yes, sir.
Okay. The reason I asked that question because I've received a couple of calls already, and they were excited about what is taking place down there on the 431 South, and they were excited about it, and I am too as well. And thank you for that. I hope, and I will be there.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Day, just so the public will know, the store will open for business 9 o'clock on the 24th, 9 o'clock in the morning. We'll have a brief ceremony at 8:30, as a kind of a ribbon cutting, to welcome Renfro's to the community. And then at 9 o'clock, the store will open to the public.
I also like to ask, since that is my district, I would like to say a few things if it's okay with Mr. Hunter and Ranford Grocery Store. Since I represent that district down there, sir.
Mr. Day, let me clarify. So the ribbon cutting is actually at 9 and the store opens at 9:30. We were 30 minutes off there.
Oh, they changed that then. I apologize.
That's all right.
It said open at 9.
It actually opens at 9:30. The ribbon cutting is going to be at 9.
We're putting at 9. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, got it.
Thank you all. Mr. Hunter, anything you have to say?
No, I'd just like to say, I hope everybody can stay safe. We know the pandemic, what it's doing out there to us in our communities and in the world. Stay safe and still protect yourself because it's not going anywhere anytime soon, don't look like. And then to follow what Mr. Bailey was talking about, being good fathers, our IT director is not here because him and his wife just had another child. And
Congratulations.
yeah, Mike. They just had another son, 9 pounds, 1 ounce.
How about that?
He's able right now, looking at my staff, he's able to tie Sean for a few minutes. And because Sean got one on the way too. So we got some good young people out there. But I want y'all to understand something. I watched Ray grow up and I watch him come out. So y'all got a few more numbers to catch Ray. And I congratulate all you out there that's doing stuff and taking care of your kids and stuff and seeing about people. A lot of time, like Mr. Bailey say, it's extended out there. We reach out and we help raise our kids' friends and everyone else that's around, trying to get them some good direction. And like I say, it's a tough life when you don't have a father on this earth anymore. And you talk about him and you've experienced having a good father and close father. I was always, my father always kept me as a child. So, I was a little boy even when I was 40 years old. So it's a splendid and good thing to share, and on this earth and life with having good parents and stuff like that. Because I tell you what, when they come to a kid can have the worstest parent in the world and they love them to death. But they got a big heart. So it's a good thing having these kids and trying to show them what love is. And that was good. I like listening to what you were saying earlier, Mr. Bailey, because there was so much truth to it.
Yeah.
But like I say, we have a lot going on now. We have a lot of demonstrations. I talked yesterday, and I probably won't talk as much as I did yesterday on these different things. But I just want everybody out there to be careful. And like you say, we talk about the things, Mr. Bailey on yesterday talked about the information and getting to the public and making sure they understand the police chief, what job he's got to do now, and the sheriff and a lot of people in law enforcement, the things we have to do to make sure we maintain public trust around here. And another thing on our Parks and Rec director, Todd, you know, they're opening up the parks again. So they're trying to ask people to be very careful in there because they got phases that they're going through as they open them up, so we can make sure people maintain a safe distance from one another still now, so they won't look back and say, well, they didn't control things at Parks and Rec in Phenix City. So it's a reason for everything when they're going. Some people may not like that too much, but they are doing what they're supposed to do, just like our library and everything else that they are doing. They have to be real careful and maintain some things as we reopen part of the city and try to maintain safety. So just thank you all, and we appreciate everybody being safe out there that's looking at the show today. Thank you.
Mayor, I like to say this. I was just thinking about what Mr. Hunter stated and Mr. Bell as well. I concur with both of their statement. You know, as I said on yesterday, as I think I love Phenix City, I made the statement a while back, many years ago. As I stated on yesterday, it's 28 years serving Phenix City on numerous of boards, and then 8 years on the council right here. That's total 28 years, not including the 3 years down at the sheriff department. I say this to all our folks that are not aware of this. I never forget when I first came on the council, we was in the band. We was talking about the Chief Smith was in the band, and I said, I knew a man named Ray Smith like that when I was at the sheriff department. He let me talk and all that stuff. He said, you remember the little guy be in the back of the sheriff car came with the George Smith house? I said, yeah. He said, that was me. You know, and it's amazing how he grew up to become the chief of police. It's amazing.
That's right.
That's all I have, man. That's history. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yes.
Thank you all so very, very much. We certainly appreciate. We are thankful to be in this community, and we're thankful to be a part of a team of something that's bigger than all of us. And I do want to share this. The last thing is let's continue to keep the faith, council in the city of Phenix City and employees of Phenix City, our city manager and all his department head. Let's keep the faith, but more importantly, as I've heard, we talked about Father's Day, and unfortunately, there are some people who does not have a figure in their life as a father. But we must also keep the faith to give of ourselves for those persons. But more importantly, we must spread the faith and share the faith. So that's the message I want to leave with all of us. We do have that responsibility of thinking of others more than we do ourselves. And that's what this council has done. That's what the city has done. That's what our city manager has done and is doing. That's what our department head has done and continue to do. Let's continue to keep the faith, but more importantly, let's share that faith through our actions and through us showing love and humility. With that said, we do stand adjourned. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.